The very machinery we're using to deliver information, really the only, what is almost the only source of information for most people now, is a machine that is designed to partially inform people, misinform people, spread conspiracy theories and lies faster than facts, spread outrage faster than disinterested, nuanced analysis of stories. So it's like we have designed an apparatus whose purpose is to fragment our worldview and to make it impossible for us to fuse our cognitive horizon, so that if you and I start out in a different place, we can never converge in the middle of this psychological experiment. And that's the thing that it strikes me for which there is no analog in all previous moments of culture.
Right now, we're living in the shattered prism of a shared reality where we're each trapped in a separate shard. And like you said, when you look over at someone else and say, how can they believe those crazy things? How can they be so stupid? Aren't they seeing the same information that I'm seeing? And the answer is they're not seeing the same information that you're seeing. They've been living literally in a completely different feed of information than you have. And that's actually one of the other, I think, psychological, not so much vulnerabilities, but we did not evolve to assume that every person you would see physically around you would, inside of their own mind, be actually living in a completely different virtual reality than the one that you live in. So nothing from an evolutionary perspective would enable us to have empathy with the fact that each of us have our own little virtual reality in our own minds, and that each of them could be so dramatically, not just a little bit, but so dramatically different.
Yeah, and the information piece is crucial here. The fact that people can so successfully silo themselves and pre-stigmatize other sources of information or messages that they don't want to hear. I mean, there's a level of confirmation bias and just allergy to data that doesn't fit your narrative, and conspiracy thinking that doesn't even recognize that it's conspiracy thinking, in terms of just the public conversation we're having with one another and failing to have. There's something unrecognizable about this.
Yeah.
Like there are no universally trusted sources of information that can resolve disagreements at this point, it seems.
Connectivity is generally good, but we're now hyper-connected. So that's changing a basic parameter of the universe. We're so connected, but it's more than that. It's not just, because giving us telephones and email, I mean, we've been getting more and more connected for centuries, and that's generally been a good thing. It's the nature of the connectivity. It's connectivity in which we are communicating not privately, but in front of an audience, and the audience rates the communication, which means it was inauthentic, often dishonest, and with a lot more intimidation. So this, I think, is what social media has done to us. So once I stepped out of the matrix and stopped being a member of a team fighting the other team, and just started being just a social scientist trying to figure out what the hell's going on, I started noticing not just that we lean left. That isn't a problem. The field can function even if it leans, 2 or 3. If you got 2 or 3 times as many people on the left as the right, that's not a problem, and it wouldn't be a problem to reverse either. We don't need balance. What we need is a complete absence of orthodoxy. So orthodoxy, means that if you dissent, you will be punished. And, that's fine if your goal is cohesion. If you're an army marching into battle, maybe that's fine. But if you're scientists seeking the truth, anybody who's read John Stuart Mill knows he who knows only his own side of the case knows little of that. So that's what alarmed me. As soon as I started looking at the polarization in the country, I saw it happening in my own field of psychology and saw it happening in most of the social sciences and humanities. And I could see orthodoxy, I could see bad social science thinking, and I started getting alarmed by it. So the table was really set for an election in which reality had little grip on a lot of people, and passions, anger, fury gripped a lot of people. I mean, it's basically straight out of the Federalist Papers, where Madison writes about faction and the human tendency to faction. If we hate the other side so much, we don't care about the common good.
But moreover, it's like we relate to our media and our stories more as programs. So it's like I'm on, almost like a drug. I'm on QAnon. What are you on? Oh, I'm on MSNBC.
Right.
And so it's like, I'm going to let Morning Joe program me. And it's this sense. That's why I wrote this other book, Program or Be Programmed, which is kind of about that in a digital age, your media programs you, and then your behaviors and your attitudes. It's like it's not that the algorithms are going to get us. It's that we are treating ourselves like algorithms, not like human beings.
Wow.
So we get certain programming, and then, and the way I'm judging if it's a good program or not is, does it make the person hard and ideological, or does it make them soft and squishy and open? Like, whatever you're on, I want to be on that, right? You're soft and squishy and open. You are capable, no matter how weird your guest, almost in an Art Bell-like way, you can kind of try on what they're saying. You let it run through you, but you don't grab onto it, and that's the thing. Some of these programs, they don't let us process them. They try to nest inside us and become our permanent program. And that's the fucked up part. That makes me think those are the splinters. Those are the splinters in your eye, the plank in your eye that Christ was talking about. It's like, you got to take the plank out of your eye before you can take it out of someone else's, because it's in you. You're not even seeing straight, right? You've got an algorithm nested in your vision.
Wow.
But I think if we zoom out, it's like, the question is, who's in control of human history right now? Are human beings authoring our own choices? Or by the fact that we've seeded the information that feeds into 3 billion people's brains, meant that we have actually ceded control to machines, because the machines control the information that all 3 billion of us are getting. It's become the primary way that we make sense of the world. I mean, if we jump to the chase about what is most concerning, it is the breakdown of a shared reality, and the breakdown, therefore, of our capacity to have conversations. And, you said it, that if we don't have conversation, we have violence. And when you shatter the epistemic basis of how do we know what we know, and I've been living literally in a different reality, a different Truman Show, as Roger McNamee would say, for the last 10 years. And we have to keep in mind, we're about 10 years into this radicalization, polarization process, where each of us have been fed, really a more extreme view of reality for quite a long time. That what I really want people to do isn't just to say, is technology addictive, or these small questions. It's really to rewind the tape and to ask, how has my mind been fundamentally warped?